This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to GoOnlineTrainings.com. Yesterday, we finished with data types, right? So today, we'll have one more interesting topic that is on business integrity. Integrity means honesty, truth, correctness. That is the meaning of integrity. Clear? Honesty, truth, correctness. Business integrity means whenever you maintain in a business will have lot of truths. Okay, truth means business has to maintain correct data. So that is the meaning here. Business integrity means business has to maintain the correct data. If the data itself is wrong in the business, definitely you cannot do any business. So how do we ensure that the data is correct? Clear? So I'll give you a couple of examples. Employee ID, department ID, passport number, driving license number should be unique. And somebody says, my employee ID is 1234, and your employee ID is also 1234, and these two guys are working for same company. Is it correct? It is completely invalid, right? So transaction amount cannot be negative. You went to the ATM and you were supposed to enter 2000, but you entered minus 2000, and ATM accepted that. Will it be allowed? It is should not be, right? The transaction date should be the same as the current date. You were, withdrawing the cash in the ATM, but it was showing the transaction date as yesterday date, not the today's date. So this is wrong data. Grade A employee salary should be less than 5,000. Grade B employee salary, greater than 5,000 to less than 10,000. Clear? So when there is a grade, you're supposed to get this much of a salary. So that is one rule that you're supposed to be maintaining in your company. All these are called business rules. Project ID can be either one or two or three or four. So what is the meaning? The company has only four projects. So new employee is joined. For example, Hemant joined, or I have joined a company. HR is given project number 55, but I don't have, project number 55. The company has only four projects. How come the HR manager can allocate project number 55? This is wrong data, right? So either she can allocate project number one to me, or two, or three, or four to me, but not more than four. So this is completely invalid data. So whenever you enter invalid data, what happens to your business? Account holder in a bank cannot make more than three transactions per day or per month. So there is a restriction, right? You cannot withdraw more than three times cash withdrawals in India. If you do it fourth time, there is a penalty of 50 bucks or 100 bucks. There is a rule given by RBI, Reserve Bank of India in India, right? So now account holder in a bank can withdraw maximum of 50,000 per day or maximum $10,000 per day using ATM machine. This is also one more rule, given by that bank. When a transaction is altered, a difference between blah blah blah. So all these are called as business rules. For example, I take one simple example. You are creating one employee table, right? So this is employee table, and we have an employee ID, employee name, employee salary, employee date of birth, and something like this. We have employee gender. These are my columns in the employee table. Okay. So now I wanted to insert the data in these columns. So somebody is inserting. You create a table, end of the day, somebody will insert the data. Bhaskar salary is 2000. Data, but let us say October 21st, 1990. Gender is male. So this is correct data. And we have one more data, let us say John. Salary by mistake, HR entered minus 10,000. She did not see it. It is HR's mistake, because when the recruitment is happening, the data in the database will be entered by the HR executive, right? She's supposed to enter 10,000, but by mistaken, she entered minus 10,000, and the system has accepted it. Clear? And the, The date of birth is, she's supposed to enter 1995, but unfortunately she entered 1785. Then system has accepted it. And it is a male, and by mistake she entered somebody, and the system has accepted it. Now, if you entering the wrong data into the system, so this guy age is more than 200 years old. So can we have like this? And the salary supposed to be a positive number, but the HR manager entered by mistake a negative number, right? And gender could be either male or female, and the HR manager entered some D. It is by mistake, typo mistakes. Now tell me, you can do the mistakes because you're a human being, right? But if you do the mistake, who's supposed to be corrected? You may be doing this kind of insets, and again there is a supervisor or there is a senior manager who's going to be reviewing whether you have inserted correct data or not. So it is possible when you have less insets, or you may have 10 people, 20 people, 30 people per day, they may join in the company. A HR senior manager can review your data, but in the real time, in some companies, you will have at a time 10,000 rows or 20,000 rows, 20,000 rows every 1 hour will come. Think about a Amazon India. So there is a lot of data goes in. Everybody is going to be registering there. Everybody is giving their own phone numbers. Everybody is altering the data. So every time manually checking the data is impossible. Clear? So you may do the mistake because you are a human being. So human beings tend to do the mistakes, right? So HR manager, she was busy and she was, doing a lot of mistakes while entering the data. If you enter wrong data, if you enter wrong data, you will get the wrong data. Very simple. So RDBMS cannot do any, magics to give you the right data, right? So you enter the wrong data, definitely you will get, whenever you retrieve, you will get the bad data. What is the purpose of RDBMS? The purpose of RDBMS, so I'm talking about RDBMS here. Okay, what is the purpose of RDBMS here? RDBMS is there to store the data, right? RDBMS is there to store the data. RDBMS is there to retrieve the data. Clear? But to store what kind of a data? Any kind of a data will you store? That is completely wrong. To store correct data, right data, it is very, very important. RDBMS is not there to store bad data or incorrect data, or you store any kind of a data in the tables. That is not the purpose of RDBMS. Relational database management concept clearly says that you can store the data, but remember the data has to be correct data. So how do you ensure that whether it is a correct data or the bad data? Now, if you wanted to maintain correctness, definitely you have to validate the data. Clear? For example, you go to the airport. You go to the airport, there is a police, say, security check will happen. Stop. Show me your passport. Show me your ticket. Show me this. Show me that. Why? Why are they checking like that? Because they wanted to ensure that you are a proper person. Then you go inside. One more check will happen. You show me your luggage, show me passport number once again, show me your identity card once again, show me your PAN card once again, show me your social security number once again, show me your photo once again. Why? Why are they checking again and again? Because they wanted to double check that. They wanted to double check that there should not be a wrong person in the airport, right? So if you wanted to validate, what happens? Definitely only the quality people can go into the airport, right? You will have pure data is going to go to the airport. Now there is no validation happened to this data. Because of that, bad data is going it. Somebody has to validate the data. Somebody means whom? Okay, who's that guy? Somebody. Either you can recruit one more manager, so that manager can verify, is it wrong field? It is also wrong field. It is also wrong data you have entered. So the manager can do that. But it is impossible if you get thousands of rows every minute. A human being, manager is a human being, right? So human being cannot do the validations. So we have to assign the validation to the computer itself. Machine has to do the validation, not the human being. Machine means I'm talking about this SQL server software itself has to do the data validations. Why data validations are very, very important? Because one of the code rules, RDBMS clearly says it is not there to store any kind of a bad data. It is there to store the correct data. Am I clear? So whatever goes in is wrong, comes out will be wrong. If you think badly, you will speak badly. Very simple. So make sure that you take the positive, attitude, positive, thinking, positive habit, so that you always be positive, right? So there is one more saying somebody is saying, if you're happy with the 24 hours, try to be happy with 24 hours, and your heartbeat will get controlled automatically. Your sugar levels will get controlled automatically. Your every kidney will function automatically. Try to be clean and neat for 24 hours. Clear? Major damage is going to be, it is not because of you have a diabetics, it is not because of you have this one, because you don't have the clean mind. You don't have a clean mind. Somebody says you have to be clean in your mind for 24 hours and go for the next day testing. You will have everything will be all right. Clear? And if you don't have the clean mind, definitely you will get lot of issues in your body. Clear? So definitely you should have a clean mind. So if you wanted to maintain, if you wanted to maintain correct data, somebody has to validate the data. Who's that guy? RDBMS software itself. SQL Server has to validate the data. Oracle has to validate the data. MySQL has to validate the data. So you are there to insert the data. Okay, human beings will insert the data into the tables. If it is a wrong data, who's supposed to validate it? SQL server supposed to validate it. And the age cannot be more than 60 years. You have to write one condition here. You need to write one condition here. Salary greater than 0. Gender can be either male or female. Date of birth or the age cannot be more than 60 years. And salary greater than 0, you have to write some mathematical expressions here. So when you write some mathematical expressions, SQL Server will act using those expressions. Okay, validations are automatically taken care by the SQL Server engine itself. Oracle itself. So whenever you insert the data, so employee ID should be unique. If somebody is inserting again one, somebody is inserting again two, so SQL Server will say we cannot enter duplicated data. We cannot enter duplicated data as the employee ID. Clear? So lot of validations have to happen. These validations are will be done by SQL Server itself. This is the beauty. Clear? You can enter any data into the RDBMS, but when you have validations in your SQL Server, automatically the verification and validation is done. Clear? When the data is perfect, the data will go to the database and it sits there. If the data is incorrect, what happens? If you don't have proper passport, can you go to the airport? In the security number one, you're allowed. Security number two, you got caught. What will happen? Either you go to the jail or you will be sent out. Get me the new, document. Then you're not allowed to go into the airport. So when there is a check happens, this data cannot go. The complete data will get deleted. Clear? So you are writing one's expression, salary greater than 0. This is expression. Or age or date of birth. Age, less than or equals to 60. You calculate the age using the date of birth. Okay. So gender could be either male or female. You write some expression like this, either male or female. So when you have like this, what happens? So you enter any other data, SQL server knows that I should, have either male or female. Using this expression, SQL server will allow only male or female. So in this SQL server will allow only age less than 60. Clear? Salary should be positive number. So these kind of an expressions that we need to write. So automatically, whenever you insert the data, validations are going to be done by the SQL Server engine itself. Clear? RDBMS is there to store correct data. It is not there to store bad data. So remember, whatever goes in is wrong, comes out will be wrong. Clear? So we are talking about 12 chord rules. In the first class, I told you RDBMS has a lot of rules. One of the rules is called data integrity. It is very, very important. Integrity means correctness. Data has to be pure data that you should store in the RDBMS. RDBMS software should not store wrong data, bad data, incorrect data. Clear? Data integrity has to be there. Integrity has to be there means you need to do lot of data validations. Okay, that lot of checks have to be done. So you go to the airport, lot of checks are going to be done. Why are they doing? It is simply they're ensuring that you're cleaned guy. You don't have any kind of a crime history. You don't do any harm to anybody in this world. Clear? So validations or checks are implemented to ensure that everything is clean. Everything is, clear, super duper data that you are going to store in your database. Data integrity means data correctness that we are talking about. Clear? If you have a bad data, what happens? For example, I developed one application, okay? So that application is, supposed to give me the weather forecasting or temperature. So I installed in my Android mobile phone. Now I trying to see what is the temperature in India or what is the temperature in my city. So it was showing me 44 degrees Celsius, but actual temperature is 12 degrees Celsius. Now, when it is showing me 44 degrees Celsius, do you think that will you use this application again? What will happen if you say that I wanted to know who are the number of males in this company? So there is a the entry called D in this. So this D is neither a male nor a female, but you have two employees, and this employee neither male nor female, you get the bad data. Clear? So when application is giving you bad data, so you will get confused. Actually, the temperature is 12 degrees, but it is showing 44 degrees. Now what happens? Immediately, you uninstall the application because that is not showing correct data. Clear? So that's it. So if you maintain or create any application that has to provide always correct data, right? If you wanted to show the correct data, you have to insert the correct data. See, application cannot get the data from anywhere else. It has to go to the database and get the data. That's it. Very simple. If it is wanted to, if you wanted to see the correct data, somebody has to enter the correct data into the system first. Clear? So then only you can see the correct data in the application. If the data is incorrect or bad, then nobody will use your application. You cannot say this is a data science application. This is developed by latest scientists. So that is useless. So whether you have created or Bill Gates created or anybody can create in this world, if the application is showing the wrong data means nobody is going to be using, they will be refusing the application. Ensure that application has to show correct data always. Whenever you develop any application, it could be BI application, SQL application, Android application, SAP application, X application, Y application. When you develop the core, the fundamentals about application is application has to provide correct data always. The second thing, application has to be faster. For example, I have created a beautiful application. It is providing correct data. So it is providing correct temperature. But the only thing is that it is slow. So when I click on some button, it will take 2 minutes, rotates. The cursor will rotate for 2 minutes, and 2 minutes, then it will show you, hey Bhaskar, the temperature in Hyderabad in your city is at 12 degrees Celsius. Every minute, every time when I'm clicking on, when I'm using that application, it is slow. Do you think that you use that application? You went to the bank and you wanted to know what is your balance. You went to the bank and there is an ATM machine. You inserted your card. You wanted to know what is my balance. The machine is taking 5 minutes. So how much time it's supposed to take? Not less than 4 to 5 seconds, right? But it is taking 5 minutes. Do you think that you use the same application again? And same, same bank, you close the account in the bank, you better come out from the bank, you open your account in some other bank, right? So they are not doing anything wrong, but the application itself is very, very slow. Clear? So everybody talks about performance tuning, everybody talks about performance tuning, because if the application is slow, end user will hate it, because application is not created for you, right? It is created for others to use it. Others are saying your application is very slow, your application is very slow. Whenever I'm clicking on that, it will take a lot of time, then definitely I don't use that application. Okay, nobody will install your application in their mobile phones or in their desktops. Clear? So application that you have created should act fast for the end users. Clear? It has to be faster. Otherwise, people will reject your application within 1 day, within 2 days. That is second thing. Third thing would be application maintenance is must be very, very less, or maintenance should be easy maintenance. For example, you bought one watch, or bought one TV. It is a fantastic TV, but somehow it got repaired, and you went to the showroom or customer care, you called up, there is a technician came, he said, sir, the part is not available in India, it has to come from China, or it has to come from Korea, it has to come from, say, Singapore or Dubai, or from America, it will take 15 days time. So do you think that, will you recommend this to anybody, anyone else? You don't recommend, because you need easy maintenance. You need less maintenance. The TV cost is $10,000. Then the guy is saying, sir, for change this, you need to spend a minimum $7,000. So will you use the same, TV again? No, you never buy that kind of a TV once again, because the maintenance cost is too much high. Clear? So maintenance should be very, very easy and less maintenance. And the application that you're using should be faster. It has to provide always correct data. Clear? Any application, whenever you develop, whether it is a Java application, Android application, .NET application, SAP application, it has to be, maintenance free. The fourth one is, it should be easy to use it. If that application is having a lot of difficulties to use, so it is fantastic faster and everybody is liking, but it's very complicated to use it. So UI is very confusing. If the UI is very, very confusing, then definitely people will go mad. They don't know how to use that. Clear? So all these are designing issues. All these are, you need to take care whenever you develop any application. Clear? So this is very, very important, things that you need to keep in mind as a developer. You could be a BA developer today, or tomorrow you may be .NET developer. So forget about the role which you are playing, but you need to understand that you need to create these kind of an applications, keeping these points in your mind. Clear? You're writing very good code, but nobody can understand that code. Only you can understand by, because you're Einstein. Very good logic. You can write beautiful code. But tomorrow you leave the company, a company will not get one more Einstein, right? So I may be recruited tomorrow there. I cannot understand the code you have written, because you have written some code that I cannot understand at all. Clear? If somebody else is not able to understand, then definitely maintenance will be very, very tough. Clear? So there is a saying, many developers can understand, machine understandable code. Many developers can write, many programmers can write machine understandable code. Only few can write human understandable code. Remember, okay? Only if you can write human understandable code. So it is very, very important that any code you write, machine can understand it, can execute. But tomorrow, when you resign, when you give me the code to me, so I should be able to understand that code as well. Clear? Because I need to understand your thinking. So based on your thinking, you write a code, and I have joined the company tomorrow, so I should be able to see your code, and I should be able to modify the code. Clear? So this is a beautiful saying. Many people can write machine understandable code. Only few can write human understandable code. So definitely you should be able to write human understandable code. Definitely machine can execute any kind of a code. Am I clear? So database is there to store the correct data, and SQL Server is having lot of constraints. These are called different features. These are the constraints, different features SQL Server has: null, default, primary key, unique key, foreign key, check constraints, triggers, identity. The above features are used to validate the data in SQL Server. Clear? So how the validations can happen? There has to be some kind of a feature has to be there. So using that feature, we should be able to, validate the data automatically. Whenever data gets in, or whenever the data is being updated, whenever the data is being deleted, automatically the validations will happen. Clear? With the help of these constraints. These are called features, or people are going to be calling them as constraints. Clear? So null constraint, default constraint, primary key constraint, unique key constraint, foreign key constraint, check constraints, triggers, identity. The above features are used to validate the data not only in SQL Server but also in Oracle, MySQL, Teradata. Wherever you have RDBMS, these constraints are there to validate the data. When it is validating the data, you will have a cleaned data sitting in your table, right? Why in airport the checks are going to be happening? Because the cleaned people only must go inside the airport, not the bad guys or any other terrorist. Clear? So that is the thing. But what is the bad thing here? The bad thing is you have to go to the airport before 1 hour, before 2 hours, before 3 hours. When many checks are happening, only bad thing is that data insert is very, very slow. Data writing is very, very slow. You need to understand. Clear? If somebody is validating your luggage, somebody is validating you, somebody is checking each and everything. What is the bad there? Everything is good. Only one thing is bad. You need to go to the airport 2 hours before. You have to go to the airport 3 hours before. So insertions are slow. Data writing is slow. Why slow? Lot of validations are going to take place. Clear? So that is only the minus point. Even though data insertion is slow, that is okay for me because I wanted to maintain right data in the database. Clear? So all RDBMS systems will maintain correct data. They impose all business rules. Whatever be the rules that we are talking about, all these things can be verified, validated against data. Clear? So let us understand what is a null. Null means represents unspecified value. Represents what? Unspecified value. For example, hobbies, mobile number columns could be a unspecified value, or it could be a blank value. So what is the meaning of this? For example, I have a table here, and I'm filling this data, right? So you can specify this is a mandatory column. This is mandatory. This is mandatory. This is mandatory. This is mandatory. I can have a column called a hobby. So what is the hobby of this employee? So hobby could be a null column. Null column means it is a blank. So Bhaskar did not write any data here. I can leave it blank. So these are not, star marked columns. So you see sometimes a star. Star means what? Compulsorily you need to fill in the data there. So these are called star mark. So this is, there is no star. Star means you need not fill in the data. You can just simply ignore the data and leave it. Okay. If you leave, so this is a blank value. SQL Server is going to be inserting null there. Null means what? Null means a blank value. Okay. Null is not a value. Null is not a zero. Null means a blank. Instead of storing a blank, SQL Server will put as a null there. Null is a blank. Null is not a zero. Null is not a no. For example, there is a thief got arrested by police. Okay. Police is interrogating. Did you steal the laptop from that room? So that is the question asked to the thief. Did you steal the laptop? The thief is saying, yes, sir, I have taken, sorry. So the thief is saying yes. Yes is the data, right? The thief is saying, no, sir, I did not go. I never steal, right? So that is one more answer, no. The third answer, he is not opening his mouth. Police is asking, did you steal it? Please tell me. So you can say yes, you can say no, and you are not opening the mouth. So that is what is called a null. Clear? So neither yes nor no. The thief is not opening his mouth at all. That's it. So a lot of terrorists, when they're being interrogated, they don't tell what they're doing and from where they're coming. They do never reveal anything. They don't open their mouth even though you kill them, so nothing will happen. So if you say yes, that is some data. If you say no, that is also some data. If you don't say anything, that is a blank. So the blank values are called as nulls. Clear? Null is not a no, null is not a zero. Remember this point forever. Clear? Null means a blank value, unknown value, unspecified value. So if you have unspecified value, you can just leave it blank. So if you leave it blank, SQL Server automatically puts what? Null. So that is what is very important thing you should understand. Okay. Hobby numbers, mobile numbers. For example, you need not, you can have a mobile number. So if you say phone number, you can, if you say null, so people may give you null where people may give you phone numbers, may not give you phone numbers. So these are called not null columns. Not null column and not null column. Remember these points. Okay. Not null means compulsorily you should supply the data. Clear? Null means you need not supply the data. So that is the meaning. So tables will have a optional columns as well. These are called optional columns. Clear? Depends upon the requirement. A architect, a designer has to, put whether it is a nullable column or not nullable column. So nullable column means it can accept null. Null means you need not fill the data, but these compulsorily should have values. Otherwise, the data insertion will fail, data writing will fail. Clear? You can just leave them like this if you wanted to leave them. What is a optional column? What is a mandatory column that you have to know while designing the databases. Now, there is one more point that you should understand. Storing null values as part of the table is bad. Why? Avoid storing null values, replace it with default value. People will say, why storing nulls are bad? Sometimes, let me take this, and let me remove all these things. Whatever be the reason, this is allowing null value. Okay. Now I have to say John salary is null. Null means we not provided any salary as of now. So we have say Umesh salary is 3,000, like that we have. Okay, it is a blank. When you have a blank, SQL Server is going to put null. Now when there is a null value here, and lot of issues will start. So what is the issue will start? I wanted to know what is the total salaries that we need to pay. Total means 2000 plus null plus 3000. 2000 plus null equals to null. Null plus 3000 equals to null, because according to RDBMS, any value plus null equals to null, any value minus null equals to null, any value into null equals to null, any value divided by null equals to null. You cannot perform arithmetical operations. I wanted to perform string operations such as sorting. For example, I would like to sort the data. Sorting has to be done. So descending order. So 2000 is a value I can sort. Null is not a value, it is a blank. Sorting will fail. Because if I wanted to sort the data, if there is a and a B, I can sort. A and B is there, I can sort. But A and I don't have anything here. So how do I sort the data? I have something here and I have something here again. So there is a B and there is a blank value. So sorting cannot happen. Clear? If there is a null value, what cannot happen? A summing operations or arithmetical operations cannot be done, because any value plus null equals to null, any value minus null equals to null, any value into null equals to null. So any arithmetical operations cannot be done. That is one bad point. And string operations like sorting the data in ascending order, descending order, so those kind of operations also cannot be done on the null columns. It is very, very irritating job. So that is the reason many companies, Oracle says, don't store null values. Okay, don't store null values. Storing null values are bad. So why bad? I have explained you. Avoid storing null value, replace it with default value. So what we can do, we can have a default value here. So what is the default value? Default value, I say 0. So when I say default is 0, if you're not storing any value here, instead of a null, 0 will get stored. Clear? 0 is not a null value, 0 is the value. So 2000 plus 0, 2000, 2000 plus 3000 will be 5000. Clear? So instead of storing null value, you better go in for the default value. So don't leave the as a blank value is there. If you don't give the value, you don't give, but automatically you should have a default value there. But sometimes null values are mandatory. For example, a employee date of joining, today is joining in the company, today is, let us say, December 18th is joining. Now you have a column called date of relieving as well. Do you know when this guy is going to resign? That we don't know. So here compulsorily we need to give null. You cannot give a default value. Can you give a default value here? Because we don't know when is this guy is going to go from this company. Do you know what is the death of yours? So date of birth you have, date of death we don't know, right? It is unknown value. So those values are completely null values. Date of resigning, right? Date of marriage, that you, do you know now? You don't know, right? So date of or death, or date of resigning, a lot of values are unknown values. So those are compulsorily to be maintained as a null solely. For example, you have a first name and you have a last name and you have a uh, middle name and last name, right? So first name Bhaskar, so last name is Jogi. I don't have a middle name. So I need to allow null here. I need to allow null here, because I cannot say null should not be used. Wherever there is a null, I should use a default value. What default value you will write here? So sometimes nulls are good in the database, but if it is needed, then replace with the default value. Clear? So in these cases, nulls are important. You have to store the null value. You don't have any value, you have to give it blank. Blank is null. Null is blank. Clear? So when you leave it blank, SQL Server will be assigning a null there. Clear? So null is not a zero. Null is not a no. Null is a blank value, unknown value, unspecified value, unrevealed value. That is the meaning of null. Remember this story. Clear? Now, We are talking about defaults. The following ways in which we can provide the default value in a table. You can have a constant value. You can give, default 0, default 1, default not applicable. You can give like this. You can have a expressions, price into quantity. You can also give built-in functions. For example, I create a table called product table. Okay. Product ID I have, product name I have, and product price I have, and the product quantity I have it. So this is my column names. These are my column names. Product number 1, pen. Price is 10 bucks. I have 1000 pens. Now I wanted to know what is the total amount. What is the total amount? So here I wanted to have a default value. What is the default value here? Default value I am writing price into quantity. I write an expression here. So whenever I write expression, I don't put the data here. So automatically this into this happens. I'm writing some formula here. So this into this will happen automatically because of this formula. So 102, let us say pencil 12 bucks, and I need this much. Because of this formula, automatically the data will get inserted there. So default value means I don't insert the data here. I'll be keeping this as a null value. When I keep this as a null value, so automatically, so this into this will happen. So it is going to be getting the values from these columns. So this is what is called as, this column is called as a computed column. Okay, this is what is called as a, it is not a normal column, which is a computed column. You can also have a computed column. You can write these kind of an expressions, and you can have the data. This into this will be the data in this. You need not insert the data. You have to insert the data only in this. It is null. Automatically using this default expression, you should be able to get these values. That is the second point. You can also have built-in functions. So for example, there is a date of purchase. So you can give a default value. Default value is a get date. Get date is the function which is going to give you today's date. So automatically you will be able to get today's date in this. So December 18th, 2020. This is also December 18th. So whenever you go to ATM, we never supply a date. But automatically, when you see the transaction history, you have a date of transaction. But who is supplying the date there? You're not supplying at the time of cash withdrawal, cash deposit. But who's supplying the date there? There is a function. The function is going to be used in the default. Clear? The function is giving you a date of transaction. So that you are not aware of. Clear? So you can also have a functions inside the defaults. You can also use constants. You can also have expressions. Whatever you wanted to write, you can write. But defaults can be used in your tables. Am I clear? So all these labs we are going to be doing. So from probably after 2 days, clear, after next week. So this week is almost over, right? So today is Friday. Saturday, Sunday, we don't have classes. I told you already, right? So tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you don't have any classes. Clear? So we'll be having the classes again from Monday. So next week, probably from Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to be starting with the classes.
Sir, one small question.
Yeah,
Doubt
please,
is
please.
the price and quantity here is we don't have any value for the price and quantity. What would be the situation?
If there is a null here, you know, right? It is a null and
Yeah,
null. If
both
there
are
is a
nulls.
null,
Both are nulls.
it'll be null only.
Then suppose if you want to aggregate the total, what would be the value?
Yeah, you can give one more default value here, right? So default you can give 0. Okay, if null is there, it will come 0. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't have null into null equals to null, because if it is a null, you can have replaced with 0 there. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. You can give multiple constraints there, no problem. Multiple defaults can be given. There is no issue at all. Beautifully asked. Very good question. Yeah. Okay. So like that, we have to compulsorily maintain null. Clear? If you are not maintaining null means it is your responsibility. For example, if you are maintaining null, you did not give the default value means you have to eliminate the null first. You have to eliminate the null. So you need to say where a total amount is null, you eliminate this and you take only not null columns and apply a arithmetical operations on that. Clear? If you don't have the default zeros here, so what is the first thing? You have to eliminate the nulls first. So this row will get eliminated. Then you get only this row and do the arithmetical operations on that. That is also possible. Clear? Yeah. So the following ways in which we can have the default values. Okay. Now, the next one is case. This class will be discussing on Monday. Clear? So whatever we discussed so far is, so how can we have the proper data integrity in our databases? Clear? How can we create, how can we use nulls? Where and all nulls are important and where and all defaults are important, we discussed clearly. So defaults are good. So in case of the user is not providing any data, you better maintain defaults there, but defaults cannot be maintained everywhere. So null has to be there in some columns. I've given you a couple of examples like date of death, date of relieving, first name, middle name, last name. If you don't have middle name, you cannot give any default value there, so that has to be null only. Clear? So these are the things we discussed. And tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we don't have any class. Monday, we'll meet. We'll continue with next class. It's very, very important class. Keys, primary keys, foreign keys, everything we're going to be discussing about. Okay. What is a candidate key? What is a primary key? What is the alternate key? All these things we'll discuss. Don't miss the next class. It's very, very important. Clear? Thank you, guys. Any other questions?